Right, welcome to the Lockdown Podcast. We are here to continue to break down the madness that is Raw and SmackDown, maybe a little bit of other product, filling in the gaps, I guess you could say. So we'll start off Raw, and what again seems to be for me more of a Liv Morgan runaway tour. Um, I really think, and I know we talked about this beforehand, but like it really taints how good a champion is if they literally just are constantly running away. Like the Judgment Day 3.0 is no different than the Judgment Day 2.0. It seems to be like the status quo has been the same. They get their punches in and then they dip out. Now we have a new member, we'll call it, of the Terror Twins, an honorary Terror Twin, we'll call him Jey Uso. And so I when literally Damien was like, "Hey, do you got someone?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got someone." Like, who would have thought? I mean, we it was in the back of our minds that Jey Uso would join, but like that was cool. Not to quote Carlito, but that was cool. Like, just the whole thing, like the fact that they were actually a cohesive unit in that tag match. Like, I thought, man, because even Jay basically even told Damien, like in the beginning of the show, when they were talking about it, and he's like, blah blah, we got all this bad blood, and he's like, you know what? I know how that feels to basically like lose your family and kind of be on the outs with everybody, which is essentially where Jay started in the very beginning. With basically leaving the bloodline, going to the other brand, and finding your footing. So I mean, it was very understandable. So we'll go with the first match, and this. Okay, I'm probably sick of this, much like everybody else. But American Made versus Alpha Academy, I'm over it. Like, this is such filler, and the only thing American Made gets me to watch that match is because Wyatt Six is in waiting in the wings. And I don't know when Wyatt Six will be done with, American Made. Um but
Probably not for a while.
he challenges them to a street fight, and I'm like, if you look at the severity of the characters of the Wyatt Six, is that really the best decision you could make? Like, American Made is kind of like they're like soft heels, right? I really don't buy them as like this super crazy good team. Like, they're just going to run roughshod, and they continue to have this feud with Alpha Academy, which we all know is Akira Tozawa is not a man to be threatened by. Otis is, yes, but when you toss the number games, it never is in their favor. So, and like, so what do you guys like? What is your guys' take as far as the American Made, like the newish kind of knockoff group, kind of spun off from Alpha Academy? Like, what do you guys like really buy into as far as American Made?
Americans Made it's more of a knockoff to Kurt Angle's team back in the
Yeah.
day. That's the way I look
What
at
was it
it.
called? What was it called though?
Oh, I can't even remember, but it just seems more like a knockoff to them because every single person in Kurt Angle's team was a
Olympian.
college, high school wrestler and all that.
I mean, but then again, you think of all the other factions that are going on; they're all just essentially knockoffs.
Pretty
So
much.
it was actually just Team Angle. That was
Yeah,
it.
there we go, Team
Yeah.
Angle.
Yeah.
I
But
mean, the
I
thing is, go ahead.
uh, American Made, I'm not I'm not buying it. I'm not feeling it. It's just more of a snooze fest,
Yeah, it's definitely a mid card
pretty
faction.
much. That or a
Um,
fucking dark match.
I wouldn't go as far as a dark match, but I would definitely say, mid card. I don't know if they are dark match worthy. They are definitely house show worthy, uh, as
Yeah.
they right now. And maybe this is all to build this American made faction into something that needs to be addressed and dealt with storylines down the road. Everyone in that team, with exception of Ivy now, because I really haven't seen her perform, um, can go. I mean, let's not, again, everybody on that team can go. They all can do their spots, they all can work. It's just that Ivy now is kind of like, you know, impress me with something like, with your move set or with your timing and that sort of thing. Otherwise, you're just a short powerhouse. And that's not a bad thing either. It's just that I am not worried about their long-term booking. This is what we have right now for the whole Wyatt Six, and the Wyatt Six needs something to kind of feed off. And eventually we'll see what the next program is. As soon as we see some team outside get involved with this whole American made Alpha Academy Wyatt Six type of um, interaction. As soon as we see another team, now we know what's to be expected. I wouldn't be surprised if the Final Testament gets gets involved with this whole Wyatt Six American made type thing because they need a program. They definitely you can't tell me that those three powerhouses in the Final
I'm,
Testament.
but to touch on that though, is that what does that feud mean anymore with New Day, given the fact that Odyssey Jones has been removed, fired? I don't know exactly the depth of it. It hasn't been too much
Right.
released, but he's been released. So now New Day is back in purgatory because the whole
Mhm.
thing with them was essentially when Odyssey Jones joined, it was
He
kind of like a knockoff Big E or a way much stronger Big E, but like,
Right.
and then now all of a
Uh,
sudden Poofy's all of a sudden gone and all so like
he
So
got
they're gonna
really
released.
keep. I think they'll keep New Day off of TV for a little bit a little while to let this whole Odyssey Jones issue kind of like fade away a little bit, and then they'll bring them back with something. They'll work on something. Whether New Day is just in the mid card and they're just
it's yeah.
putting over people, waiting for the next big storyline, or they've got something planned for them.
What happened?
It's you know
They didn't really say too much. There was a lot released like mid last week
yeah.
in regards to Odyssey Jones being removed from the roster page, supposedly being fired for a domestic dispute that was filed that wasn't there was no charges filed, but there was a pending domestic assault situation, and that's why
Oh,
we're at where we're at.
Right.
I
I
don't
Right.
didn't
know,
hear
and
that.
again, I'll probably find out more in the coming weeks because
Yeah. And
more information to get
it's
released.
very similar to what happened with Rich Swan a few years ago, unfortunately. So yeah, if anybody's listening and they have like any type of concerns about domestic violence, please reach out to your local law enforcement or, anyone that will be able to help you with that because that's a very serious thing. And yeah, so
Definitely
definitely.
is.
Yeah. So I for the betterment of the future of Odyssey Jones, I hope whatever it is rectified and it's taken care of and lessons learned and you
Yeah,
know,
and then and like
yeah,
nothing's been like solidified yet. It's just I think given the era that we're in, we're definitely in the era of kind of, hey, let's just like drop this for a second and let it do its thing. Obviously we'll find out more in the coming weeks.
right.
The severity or even, the outcome of the situation. We'll just kind of, let that one kind of sit for now.
Yeah.
Um,
But getting back to like this whole mid card with tag teams, Wyatt Six, I think that we're just going to have this for a while until something sticks and resonates with everyone. That's like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I want to see what stories they tell with this. Right now, I don't think the Final Testament has it. I don't think that the for
It's
me
just
the
a
White
weird
Six doesn't
combination.
have it. Yeah, it's that whole like factions situation, and maybe this is all just a build up for Survivor Series,
Right.
which
Might
we
happen.
can we can definitely go with another traditional Survivor Series match and a War Games type of match. And I think all three of those teams that I just mentioned or factions has a place in either one of those types of um Survivor Series, whether it's traditional Survivor Series or it's a War Games type Survivor Series. I think they all can be entertaining.
They're all kind of around enough to be able to put them where they need to be, as far as the roster and the pushes and title contention, stuff like that. And that's the thing, is that I feel like we do have a strong tag team division that you could put the belts on just about anybody and I'd
Mhm.
be okay with it. I we'll kind of touch on the SmackDown nonsense, but so we'll kind of roll through more of Raw here. So um poor Zelina Vega, okay? Poor Zelina Vega that had like the whatever they call themselves, Pure Fusion or whatever it is, or I don't
Yep.
know. Like it's I would say honestly though, it is a pretty good three heel women's faction. I will give it respect where respect is due. They are dominant. Now, where's their title match? I don't know. But, it's definitely, I think this is probably the first time in a while we've actually seen, a three women heel faction that wasn't obnoxious. Because essentially,
Mhm.
Damage Control is pretty much dying. Okay. They're not dominant
Well,
anymore. They're not,
half of them are out with injuries,
yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah, definitely.
yeah, and the other half are just trying to stay alive from jumping from one place to another. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just
I
yeah,
mean,
so
we're pretty much left with Io Sky and Kyrie Sane. So,
yeah. Bless them.
yeah. So, but yeah. So, hold on one second. So, all right. Anyway, I'll probably edit that one out. But so we have this continued Drew McIntyre CM Punk thing, which finally you broke that stupid bracelet. Thank the gods above. That stupid bracelet is it like there's so many opportunities that CM Punk could literally just take the bracelet at any given time, but they never did it, and it was just stupid. And the whole stupid thing is stupid. Okay,
The
and
whole
the fact
Yep.
that finally the stupid bracelet's broken. So now what do we get down to, right?
Uh,
And it's just like it's the same program between the both of them, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's entertaining as hell because I love Drew McIntyre, and and I don't like CM Punk. If we're gonna get on a vicious track here, so I think CM Punk he's nothing more than a nostalgic act, and that's all he's gonna be. He's not gonna go after Gunther. Gunther would wreck his chest. So I don't know where CM Punk falls in beyond this feud. Seth Rollins maybe in the future, but I putting a belt on him at any given point, I'm not buying
Tim,
just because.
are you buying CM Punk as a champ?
Oh, he is.
As a champion, like world
Yeah, like
champion.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
I can see it.
give him a title run.
Yeah.
But let's look at.
I
But
don't
let's look.
see I don't see him getting a title run at this time of moment because he just came back and started wrestling, but he pretty much has to earn it like everybody else. But yeah, I can see him getting a title run sometime down in the near future. Not right
But how
now,
much
not at the
time does he
moment.
have left? Like because
I think he signed like
off,
I think he signed like a 5 or 6 year contract with them.
I think honestly, he's just gonna he's gonna have these little feuds. You know, let's say he's in a feud with John Cena maybe for a hot second. Maybe we get that dream match. Like I mean, even though okay, he signed a 5-year, whatever contract, but like that doesn't mean that he'll wrestle. I mean,
Mhm.
he's been a mouthpiece 80% of the time he's been back, hurt or not hurt. So, I mean, I'm not really buying it, but that's just me.
But if he does get a title, if he
I mean,
does ever win the championship, but I don't see him holding it as long as he did with the WWE Spinner
yeah,
Championship,
I mean,
like 400 some fucking days.
yeah, I mean, like, and that's the thing too is like if he's not gonna have a long title reign, like it just seems kind of nonsensical to give him a title.
Ooh,
But I mean, who
But
knows?
what makes a long title reign in this era? You know, is 90 days a long time title reign or is a year? Because we had Roman Reigns hold a championship for
About almost 3.
1,300
more
days.
yeah, well over 3 years. So could I imagine CM Punk holding a championship for that long? God, no. But what I
I see
could
him holding it for about maybe I'm gonna say about maybe 3-4 months, maybe.
And I could buy into that. I mean, like,
yeah,
he and the thing is like he draws the crowd. Like I just, with the current roster and how things are, like I don't see it happening in the next till like after WrestleMania.
yeah.
You know,
Probably.
maybe here, here's a pipe dream for you, Tim. So let's say he comes back, and so well when he comes back, he gets back. But like, let's say a Royal Rumble rolls around, he wins, then he gets his title shot. I think that would make the most sense because that gives him, 4 or 5 months, and then now he can not get knocked out because he's technically supposed to win. So maybe
Well,
this is we're gonna do one of these, crowd wants what they want, and we're gonna get a "We want CM Punk" chant, and then he wins the Royal Rumble.
Well, he has mentioned, and I believe, and Tim, correct me, that he wants to main event or headline WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, he
It,
wants to. He's hasn't had a main event WrestleMania match since he's been in WWE. He
so
wants one.
yeah, so it could be as easy as you win the Royal Rumble, but we're not putting the strap on you.
It doesn't. It technically doesn't have to be him winning a Royal Rumble match. He can just get a main event match by earning it a different way,
Yeah.
or it doesn't
Yep.
have to be for a world title or the universal title. It could be for Intercontinental, US, whatever, one of those small titles. He
Yeah.
could still get his main event.
Yeah. Long as I think he wants, and he's implying to close out a show. Like if he's gonna main event WrestleMania, he wants to be the last match of the night.
Probably.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't have a problem with that. It's, I go back to where he was more than a year ago and everything that transpired during that tenure. And I'm just thinking, I rather not see it. Where CM Punk is right now is tolerable for me. But that doesn't mean um he can't earn his opportunities, he can't do this and do that, but I also too don't want to say, well, he's got to jump through hoops and do all this stuff. I'm just saying, for me as someone who's a fan of professional wrestling, and seeing CM Punk on my screen is not like something I'm engaged in, but
Well,
it's where we're at. So
well,
yeah.
and well, the thing is too is that when do we break away from the CM Punk Drew McIntyre thing? Like,
I
you know,
don't know. Hopefully
if
soon.
CM Punk's going to get any kind of serious anything, we have to eventually have a rubber match, have it be done.
Yeah.
Let's have it done at Bad Blood, Hell in a Cell,
Yep.
because Hell in a Cell was always meant to be the end of the line matchup, right? So
Mhm.
let's have that match. Let's call it a day. Let Drew McIntyre go on to do whatever Drew McIntyre is going to do. Let's see what CM Punk does without this feud, without, because right now his only mouthpiece is basically the whole Drew McIntyre thing. So like once we get away from the Drew McIntyre thing and he does something else, we'll see if it's suitable for him to make sense to be to fight for a championship. Because we've been stuck in the Drew McIntyre thing for, months. And so I don't see CM Punk being in a serious situation for a title until we finish this. So
Yeah.
I think once we finish the Drew McIntyre CM Punk thing, I think both can move on to do what they do best.
Right.
So
And I think let's wrap this up at Bad Blood. Maybe that's when Seth Rollins will return. We can get our Seth Rollins program. Let that
Right.
finish at Royal Rumble, so they can move on to like their WrestleMania programs.
Right. Yeah.
Unless their WrestleMania program is Seth Rollins and CM Punk, kind of like finishing their story. Then
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is like, and that can be interjected at any point, right?
Right.
Because like, there's when these feuds are more like longevity without as much interaction, they can kind of come and go as they please. Kind of like Ray and Dominic, right? They can
Mhm.
have that feud go away for 2-3 months and then Ray comes back. So like I think that's where the CM Punk and Seth Rollins thing lands. It's in that we can fit this wherever we need to fit it.
Right.
So we'll move to, so we have these number one contenders tournament for Braun Breaker's Intercontinental title, which has been a pretty stacked match card as far as who's been in it. So we have Ilya Dragunov defeats Dragon Lee and Dom in a number one title. So now Ilya Dragunov moves on. And so, and then you have Jey Uso on the other side of that. So like I'm actually, the tournament honestly has been really good filler. Just because it's triple threats, not just one-on-one. So it kind of gives a little bit extra edge, I guess you could say. So Unholy Union defeats Damage Control. And again, Damage Control is not really doing the numbers game. So when you only got 2, and even Dakota Kai really isn't that much of an impact.
No.
So, and so man, yeah, they've definitely fallen off the wagon with all these injuries. And
Yeah, they happen.
and I
They
think
just need
that
bubble wrap.
I think this needs to be the breaking point where like they break off from being Damage Control and kind of doing something different, because
They all need to
because
do
it's
solo things.
You know what? I don't think Damage Control has hit its high point yet. I think when you have a healthy Damage Control with, Asuka and Io Sky and Kyrie Sane,
well, and what was their
and
tag team called? The Kabuki
Kabuki
Warriors.
Warriors, yeah. So
They could be by themselves.
yeah, I really think Damage Control versus Pure Fusion Collective or whatever they're calling themselves.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's correct.
yeah,
But
it's Pure Fusion Collection.
yeah, I think that could be a really good like
Kind of
feud.
an even feud.
Yep, it could be a really good feud. I think that it just works, because all of them can wrestle, all of them can go. It's just that, a couple of key players are really messed up, and Dakota Kai might not ever be cleared to wrestle again if her knees are messed up, like
Yeah.
the internet is saying.
And they've
So
been
yeah,
messed up for probably well over a year, even down into
yeah.
NXT. So
You know
it's
what? You
Definitely.
know what? I would
she got
not.
stone cold legs.
You know, I would not be upset with Dakota Kai becoming a mouthpiece and really learning how to talk to get people over.
Right.
And I would not mind Tegan Knox joining Damage Control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though her knees are messed up and everybody's aware, as long as she's taken care of in the ring and she protects herself, I think her and that Shining Wizard or Shiniest Wizard
Yeah. Is she even
can
on
be
the
really good.
roster though?
You know what?
I
I think
don't. I
I
think
don't
she
even
is.
think
Yeah.
I don't think because she's fallen off as much as Natalia's fallen off. So I really don't even think that she's even on the roster. But
she might be at home waiting for creative, you
yeah.
know, and it's like
we'll
yeah.
move beyond that whole bit. So now you have Sami Zayn, challenged Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, which, like I said before, is that this is kind of a Roman Reigns Gunther situation, in this kind of 2.0 because so Randy didn't get beat clean. And Sami Zayn is the only one to really beat Gunther over the course of a long period of time.
Mhm.
So Gunther's been a champion 75% of his main roster thing, which is honestly insane. If you really think about it, like some of these people don't even get a title shot till they've been there for 2 to 3 years. This dude is running roughshod,
He's a
and he has
powerhouse.
earned. And the thing is that he has earned every freaking thing. He's earned everything. I absolutely love Gunther. I love his bravado, his attitude, how he carries himself. Like he can back it up. That's the thing, is that it's one thing to throw dabs and throw stabs at other people, but not back it up. But Gunther backed it up. Okay. He beat Randy legit at Bash in Berlin. And I don't think Sammy's gonna be the one to knock him off. I think Gunther is just too damn good, and he's just on another level right now that there'd be nothing for him if he wasn't champion, to be honest. And I don't buy Sammy as a main title holder. He is a good workhorse for the mid thing. And maybe
and
that's blasphemy, but
yeah, I think Sammy is just as good as Kevin Owens, but Sammy, just like R-Truth, has been pigeonholed into a character, which for R-Truth is like this comedy type of clueless type of performer, where Sami Zayn is like this almost can get it done underdog.
he's
And
the
I
ultimate
think,
underdog.
yeah, I think in both for both performers, it's doing them a disservice over their careers. Both of them should have at least one championship run
Right.
as the face of the company, and at least, you know, with R-Truth, he should have at least one serious contention like storyline getting him to there.
Well,
The only
yeah.
difference is that Sammy with Roman Reigns did have that.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a lot of underutilization, and like you said, they get kind of pocketed into this certain persona, this whole, you know, they get kind of stuck in a rut, but it's
Yeah.
like they're still there, they're still fighting, they're still putting on good shows. It's just they haven't broken that glass ceiling, and it's mostly creative. Like, let's be real, creative controls everything. This isn't this is not like the story, it's everything's scripted here, people. So they just haven't gotten there. But I mean, you gotta chalk it up to Gunther. Everyone hates him, but they damn sure respect him.
You know, and I want to say
Oh,
that
definitely.
I want to say that that's more of booking than it is like anything else
Yeah.
because you know, and everyone I think within reason gets their gets an opportunity, and he is just like Braun Breaker, eventually just like Carmelo Hayes once he gets out of his mid card uh, issues, they'll all get that opportunity
Right.
to earn that spot. And it'll look different for each person, but I don't know if there's a formula, but I know it's in their cookbook of how they want to get people over and how they want to utilize talent. You know what they see. You know, because we can scream all day that our truth could be, um, that our truth should be world champion at least once. Um, but it has more so to what creative and what marketing and what the fans have to say about that. I
And
mean,
I well, I
if
mean, it's
yeah, so
yeah, it's tough because then it's like if you there was someone that posted something about our truth basically being in the Attitude Era, like he's been doing this for probably 30 years, and people don't realize that. But like,
yeah,
yeah, he's never gotten his thing. But I mean, like, his whole shtick, and this is via Damian Priest, is that he legitimately his goal, and he does it well, is to break people. Okay, everybody breaks character with our truth because he is just that damn funny, and that's just what he's good at. And you know what? If that's how he wants to hang his career, I'm good with it.
you
Our
know,
truth, first ballot Hall of Famer, hand over fist.
I don't think anyone goes into the WWE and says, well, with there are a handful of exceptions, but says that I don't want to be the face of the company, that I would rather just play a background role. Um, and now that we've got, you know, a regime change and we've got, you know, we're moving in different directions with performers and with creatives, maybe there's a season where we try to right some of those wrongs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Where
can
it's
see
like,
that.
yeah, where it's like, you know what? The old heads that were in charge didn't see you as I'm envisioning you. And with the right creative, we can get you to that spot. It's not going to probably be forever, but we can at least, this is, you know, we're going to at least try this. Like
Yeah,
with our truth, I would love to see our truth have an opportunity like Sami Zayn does.
right.
You
I
know,
You
totally
know,
agree.
and
He
it's just
deserves it.
it's well, and
yeah,
it's that's the thing is that like problem is what he deserves and what he's gonna get are two separate things. But you know, it's
yep,
unfortunate. He should have had, you know, stuff, you know, a decade
yes,
ago,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely,
but you know,
absolutely. It's unfortunate that people previously that were in charge of the direction of WWE didn't see that, and he became um, what he is now. That doesn't take away the work that he's done. It just says like people didn't value you as the face of the company, but there are a lot of fans and a lot of people that would buy into you being the face of the company, especially with the right creative,
yeah,
Like Sami
there's just
Zayn.
not enough. There's
Yeah,
just not enough like of pull um
yeah,
for, you know, our truth. But like so we'll move through here to
yeah.
Raw. I mean, so ironically enough, Braun Strowman's the one that got freaking tsunamied into a car, and yet he's the one that shows up to work next week, while Bronson Reed not so much. But
Well,
so no,
if
so so Braun Strowman takes his spot in the triple threat, defeats Sheamus and Ludwig because Sheamus and Ludwig have too much problems with themselves. So Braun Strowman capitalized. Chalk it up to the big O SOB. It does suck to not hear Pat McAfee say it, but he'll be back eventually. So we'll finish the show. So you had again, we're gonna roll back to this. The Damian Priest and Jey Uso defeat Finn Balor and JD McDonough. absolutely destroyed them. Mommy got her pound of flesh, even on one freaking leg. So, man, I see sugar plums and gumdrops in the air with Jay and Rhea. I think we all want to see it. We all want to see him take her to Waffle House. It ain't expensive, but it's good.
Well, hey,
I,
Waffle House is good. I've been to one.
you
Yeah,
know, I really would. How I would like to see that come to a head is with Jay's wife actually showing up and just being like, "What is you doing?" Kind of like, like, "Oops," and then just Rio's just like, "Oh, you didn't tell her,"
yeah,
you know?
but like the Jay's wife's not part of WWE. Like, Naomi is Jimmy's.
Yeah, I understand.
So like,
I totally get that, but I want people to know it's like, yeah,
it'd be funny as hell though.
yeah,
Like
more
nobody knows
so.
her.
Nobody knows
Like
her
she comes
except for
out of the
Jay.
crowd. Like she comes out of the crowd like Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania and
Yep.
and just slaps Rhea and then
Right across
walks
the
Jay
face.
back to the
Grabs him by his ear.
Yeah.
But okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
let's roll over to SmackDown here. So go figure, we have Cody come out and then Solo comes out and then now the twist, and this is what Frederick's status means. Jacob Fatu was basically pinpointed saying, "Hey, Cody's basically like, hey, you're next, Jacob Fatu." Jacob Fatu gets on the ring rope, basically says, "I'm not the tribal chief," like the little, which man, there's so many layers of Jacob Fatu that I absolutely love, and it's not been released, but it's very subtle. And so, so obviously that whole thing. So now we really don't know who. I mean, we have the Solo and Cody in a steel cage match next week, which really, obviously, Cody's not going to lose. Like, that's a shoo-in. But, you know, I, I think it's I mean, it's on the premiere, but like, why not have like a street fight or something? Like, let's put this basic ass cage. Like, they need to start having steel cage matches where they have to win in the ring, period. If you escape, you lose. Like, if you want to confine them, like so then you have no outside interference. You just have two guys in the match. Like, because the whole getting out of the cage and crawling over, like, so you're escaping, like, I feel like you need to win in the ring, honestly. But that's just me. But, so we get to see that obviously, Friday at, the USA premiere, which feels like just somebody else bought the show and they want to jazz it up, calling it a premiere. But and there goes Tim with his 2 liter of pop. But but so now we have Bailey versus Tiffany Stratton, which Bailey defeats Tiffany Stratton. A whole mess ensues after the match. Tiffy and her belt and her belt, her briefcase or her over arm bag,
Or
we'll
fucking,
call it.
it's like a purse.
So
That's what
yeah,
it looks like.
yeah, that's what she was going for. You know what though, dude? The fact that's her character and she plays it so damn well and looks good doing it, you go, girl.
That's the only reason why you give it any credence is because
Exactly. Because
she looks.
I
She
wish
has.
Tiffy is on my time. Yes,
Mm.
I will do whatever I have to encourage her. Tiffy time, baby. So okay, so now we'll roll to the next match because it's a quick one. Apollo Crews defeats Giovanni Vinci in, I don't know, about 5 seconds. Way to bring Baldy back to have him get his ass kicked in like 3 seconds by Apollo Crews, who's been legitimately enhancement talent for like 2 years. And poor Giovanni Vinci.
Well, I mean,
like, like, it was just funny because it happened so quick that it just like, yeah. So now you have Well, I don't know why they decided to do this up, but like basically it was supposed to be a triple threat match with Kevin Owens, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory, huh, which essentially was more like a handicap, obviously, but like just weird. I don't understand where they insert Grayson Waller and Austin Theory in anything. Like, give me the Grayson Waller effect. I'm good with that. But like, I don't buy him much as a wrestler, honestly.
Yeah, there's something about Grayson Waller as in-ring talent that I just am just, like meh.
Kind of
I'm
shrug
not,
it. Like it's
yeah,
and it's like Austin Theory had his moment, he had his little time and then he just kind of fizzled and him and Grayson Waller are basically sitting in popularity purgatory on WWE. And so, you know, I don't know what they're gonna do with these guys, to be honest. They're just kind of there. But yeah.
yeah.
So now we go. So LA Knight comes out and he's chattering as he does. Oh, let me talk to you. All like the same stuff, but Carmelo Hayes comes out, rattles off whatever, talking about how he beat Andrade twice, and then Andrade comes out. I have beat you twice too. And so, now we're gonna get this rubber match, you know, between those two. I mean, I think honestly either of those guys would be a perfect contender for the United States Championship against LA Knight. I think Andrade's definitely been underutilized since getting back. Um, I think honestly I'd take Andrade over Carmelo Hayes. Even though I'm a Carmelo Hayes guy, I still think he has to put in his bumps and bruises on the main roster.
Yeah, but in comparison to like a Braun Breaker, they both came up relatively similar times.
Yeah.
I think they're both extremely talented. Carmelo Hayes has been, in the business a lot longer. However, he's not a second generation performer.
Yeah.
So you know, when is a good time to pull the trigger with Carmelo Hayes? And who do you pull it on? Do you pull it on Andrade?
John
Do you
Cena.
pull it? Do you pull it on? Do you pull it on LA Knight? Like who do you
I
pull it?
say it. I'll say LA Knight.
I
Alien Knight?
honestly, I want to see Carmelo Hayes come in just like Kevin Owens did and beat John Cena.
I think
Because I
I can
feel
see
like
that.
that was a trajectory point for Kevin Owens. That was a launch point for Kevin Owens coming in and beating John
but
Cena.
that is like Kevin Owens is like a different type of monster though.
Yes,
You
yeah,
know what I'm
Kevin
saying?
Owens came in when he was the NXT champion at that time and beat
Not
John
even that,
Cena.
but Kevin Owens, his indie career has always been like he will do what it takes to win a
Yeah.
match. Um
Unless it's
yeah.
against Cody.
That
Yeah.
is true.
Problem
Yeah.
is, but the match with Cody at Bash in Berlin made him look a little bit soft. Because it's like if you look
It
at his
did.
repertoire of like how he, I'm gonna do what I have to win, but then you got like Cody's like his Achilles heel, and he's like, and like there was spots of him kind of doing what Kevin Owens does, but like there's also those moments where like you're not gonna pull the trigger. Come on, dude. Like at the end of the day, you want titles, bro. Like
Right.
because he honestly, I really feel like he could have easily beat Cody Rhodes. Obviously, that's not the cookbook. That's not the recipe we're on.
Right.
We're on this Cody Rhodes binge of the guy who holds the title like a freaking, I don't even know. He doesn't hold it like a champion. He doesn't put fear in me like some other champions. It's
but I wonder how much of that is Cody's current character and what we could get, because when it was just Cody on the independent scene, we got a completely different monster. And I didn't like Cody. I didn't like this Cody Rhodes. I'm kind of like, meh, but that Cody Rhodes, it was
he's like the
more of a,
he's like John Cena.
he's definitely in his John Cena type era here in the
Pretty much.
WWE. But his when he was, in Ring of Honor and with AEW, mostly when he was in Ring of Honor in his before AEW rather, he that Cody Rhodes was a problem. And I think if we want to make Cody Rhodes seem like the champion to be beaten, um, we need that black-haired Cody Rhodes. That Cody Rhodes was a problem. And
He
yeah,
just needs more killer instinct. I think that's a lot of it. It's
and
just
I think that's the presentation, like the vibe he doesn't give off on TV. He gives off as a respectable, hardworking, honest champion. And I think that resonates with a lot of people that support the character of Cody Rhodes in the sense of with merchandise, with TV appearances, his,
but like we're
his
but it's
deals. But like what suffers is, him being a believable threat. There's not an energy or vibe that I get from Cody Rhodes. Like, I don't think anybody's going to take this off of him for a while. When in reality, the vibe and thought that we get is like, when do we get The Rock to take this off of him so we can get something more interesting? Or, what can we do?
We're flatlining. We're on a plateau right now with Cody Rhodes. Like, no one's going to beat him. He's going to do the same rigmarole in the matches, and we're getting I feel like we're just in a complacent like popularity factor, but it's like, Cody, he has the crowd on his side, and we don't need a heel Cody. We just need Cody with a little more bravado than just some guy that shows up in suits, and that's who he is. That's not like a gimmick. That's just who he is. But like, I want a little more brutality to Cody Rhodes than just the same matches, the same everything. Like I said, it's like John Cena, right? It's like when Roman called out John Cena, the same thing every night. It's like missionary position, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, and that's where we're at with Cody. We're like, it's just the same all the time,
Yeah.
and it's just like, give me something different. Give me a little bit of Grudel. That's not even a word. But like brutal, not Grudel.
Yeah.
Like, give me a little extra. Give me a little extra oomph on like what's happening besides him coming out, doing what Cody does, and then he'll have a match, and it's the same match. That's the blah blah blah. And
I wonder how much of that is creative and outside of his like presentation like guidelines, as opposed to it is just him just saying, "No, I'm gonna play it safe."
I don't know. I'm just getting bored.
Cody
Yeah,
Rhodes,
Cody Rhodes' story right now is just getting boring. It just feels like it feels like they're gonna try to make him hold that title all the way to WrestleMania. Well, let me guess, he's gonna win in WrestleMania. Try to outbeat. Are they gonna have him outbeat freaking Roman Reigns' reign?
Unless something is going down with The Rock, I don't see Cody having that championship at WrestleMania. I think he's on to something other, trying to get back to the championship, and it just takes him a while. That story would be more intriguing and interesting than what we have right now. However, with the whole Jacob Fatu situation that we had, that little tease, that was delicious. That was like, all right,
Yeah,
because I want
excited.
to see Jacob Fatu's ring work and presentation as a champion in WWE.
in a
and
single
compare it
yeah,
to,
like a singles person.
yeah,
Yeah.
and compare it to what he was presented elsewhere, like with MLW. And I've only watched a few clips of MLW, but he just looked absolutely beastly and unstoppable in MLW.
Oh yeah, I mean, and
And
that's the thing is that
yeah,
we know Jacob Fatu, like
He's a
you
powerhouse.
know, he's beyond the enforcer of the bloodline. Okay, like he puts fear in the rest of the people. I'm sorry, Tungaloa, those two they don't put fear in anybody. They literally look like some bootleg henchmen. They look like J&J security, okay? That's how low I feel
Yeah,
like
without the
they
suits.
are. Like they just they're there, but really you look at them and you see like, oh, this guy is just a really good wrestler. You look up Jacob Fatu and you're like, I'm scared of this guy. Like just his facial expressions, everything about him,
And when
his
he's like,
height, his muscle, his everything, that puts the fear of in wrestlers. Okay, that's fear. You're looking at the face of fear. Let's quote Bray Wyatt, right? That is the face of fear. Okay, like that's what a champion I would be proud to have, because guess what? He is one scary SOB, and he destroys people because he wants gold. But the fact that he's held back by Solo, who, I'm sorry, I don't acknowledge someone who's never been a champion. I don't acknowledge you because you haven't done anything. You haven't even done 1% of what Roman Reigns has done. Like Roman, heel or face, Roman has been doing he's been doing this at a high caliber level for a solid at least 10 years. Okay? He is putting in the work. He has done the work. The dude literally came back from remission with his leukemia, and he came back fucking stronger. So, in like that in and of itself, the fact that he is dealing with that, debilitating disease, like the fact that he comes back and he is stronger, like respect. Like when I think of Roman Reigns, I think respect, right? Like whether you've been the one you love or you hate, like the overall essence of Roman Reigns is he's an overcomer. He has put in the work. Yes, he's part of the pretty much, the greatest bloodline in sports entertainment. But the thing is, but he's earned his work, okay? Like where he is now, he called his shot, right? Way back in like NXT, I think it was Dusty Rhodes that said, man, you're going to be a champion. And he has lived up to that, okay? You
definitely.
don't push someone as long as you have, like Roman Reigns, if he's not putting in the work and getting great matches, 5-star matches, and his character is just amazing. Like
yeah,
it's I mean it's and he's headlined umpteen WrestleManias. He's headlined and headlined and headlined because he's a draw.
Yeah, he's headlined more WrestleManias than I think anybody.
Yeah.
which is which is an incredible. But we can talk about how good Roman Reigns is, but I think the underlining thought is with Solo being believable as a leader of a faction is that there has been no
Dude,
there's
he's
been
like
no triumph over adversity for him. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
he just
There's
walked in and just defined himself.
yeah,
Like
and it's
he's
that
like that
in
he's like
yeah,
Tommy Pickles, okay?
yeah, it's that
You
entitlement
thinking
that
he's the head of the Rugrats, okay? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
about as believable
right.
as I am, okay?
Yeah, and it
It's
does come down to Solo just not being believable because we haven't seen his character progress. What we have seen is like this immediate like change from being a heel enforcer to so calling yourself the heel leader and changing your clothes. That doesn't there was no character
with his
See,
walkout,
progression.
yeah.
See,
And that's
he did great in NXT, But when he made it to the main roster, he just
Well,
he's just
because
flopped.
he came to the main roster off of basically winning a non-sanctioned match for the NXT North American Championship. Then that went off him, and then all of a sudden, then he just shows up to the main roster, which we all knew he was going to show up because that's just more bloodline, right?
Yep.
And and it's the problem is his character is not believable, right?
Right.
Just because you put on a suit, put on some Bray Wyatt gloves, put on a Rock circa 1995 chain, like
Mhm.
I don't believe you.
Oh,
don't either.
what if Solo has been foreshadowing The Rock's involvement this
Well,
whole
and yeah, I
time
mean that's
because
been
because of and it just hit me right when you said that. Like what if he's just been foreshadowing because The Rock is the final boss,
well because The Rock has
and
essentially been on literally numerous podcasts, numerous YouTubers, all this stuff, basically talking about how The Rock is behind the Bloodline 2.0, and so which is believable. Just because if just the whole gimmick, the character, it literally looks like a knockoff, like Rock joining, what was it, the Nation of Domination?
Yep.
Mhm.
And then like having this bravado without any accomplishments yet. And so
Yeah,
like
and
that's kind of Rock. That's
but
Rock,
yeah,
that's Solo.
but Solo just doesn't have any energy to like make me think that he's a champion. He gives off the aura with that revelation, um, that he is just doing someone's bidding for them to come in and
Right.
do it to him like he's done to
He's
Jacob.
portraying himself, but he's secondary to The Rock. So like it's Rock and then Solo and then everybody else. So it's kind of that tier where like he's kind of the leader, but he doesn't really bestow too much like fear or any kind of energy that's like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna mess with Solo. Like,
Right, right. Yeah,
you know,
it's definitely like that energy of like, you know, who was telling you to do this?
right,
Like, and it's kind of like where do we go with Solo? Like, what is his character progression? Because I could see Solo getting lost as just like a bottom level heel doing what
I can
someone
buy
else,
that. Yeah.
doing what someone else is telling him to do, after this whole bloodline, war like takes place, and he's just like trying to find his place and he's trying to redeem himself, but he can't ever like get away from that, so he just has to be Solo.
Right. I mean, the thing is like he's still the enforcer character from the original Bloodline. And he talks obviously a little bit more, which is fine, but like his promos are very, very weak. I don't the thing is, like, that's why I say, like, Jacob Fatu's character, without him saying a word, I'm fearful of that guy, right? Like, and that's how it should be. Like, okay, Solo, you might look this turtleneck and chains and suit, whatever thing, but like, I don't look at you and think, oh my gosh, I don't fear. I'm gonna fear you because you're the tribal
He's
chief or whatever, right?
he's not even scary.
you
Jacob
know he
Fatu is a lot
yeah
more
he
scarier.
I'm
Solo
scared of his
gives off
haircut.
the energy of an underboss's entitled jerk bully son. That's the energy
Right.
that he gives off.
Just
It's
wait
like
till
if
John Wick shows up.
yeah, right. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh
John
yeah.
Wick is now played by The Rock.
Yeah,
Like,
and you know what? And John Wick is actually Jacob Fatu. You know what I'm saying? you
right,
know.
right,
So
right.
Hey, I could
Dude,
see
that's
that.
so dude, that makes a lot of sense. The
so it's
correlation.
yeah. So I think that there's so many layers to this whole bloodline that if you pay attention to it, for a lot of people, it is definitely intriguing and engaging. And when we're talking about this and we're trying to like peel back some of the layers, you're like, oh, I didn't understand that. So it can rub off on you. I'm just saying, like, that one segment with Cody Rhodes calling out Jacob Fatu, that was interesting and intriguing to me. But if we're not going to like build towards that, I'm still not going to give it as much attention as I would give something else on the show.
As I
And
say,
to be honest with you, there's not much else on the show that is interesting outside of the bloodline and potentially how Cody Rhodes is going to carry himself throughout the night. The LA Knight stuff with him holding a championship is meh. Um, some of the women's matches are kind of like, oh, that was cool, but whatever. What else do you have? The mid card seems to be more diverse and talented than the main event stuff, like with Cody and the Bloodline.
Well,
But that it
it's because it's
the
the
the,
same
the
thing
face
over and over
reaction
again.
Jacob got, he was like, "Really? All right,
Yeah.
sweet."
It's
The
because
Yeah.
the thing is that we're just
fans were all excited for
we're
Yeah.
it.
getting the like, and I said this is like the same thing. We're getting the same thing over and over and over. Like like it's the same thing with like the problem is that if you look at it now, who looks more dominant, the Terror
Jacob,
Twins or Judgment Day? Not
Yeah.
Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Judgment Day is
cares?
garbage. Judgment Day
But
looks like
I
nothing.
but I
It
also think with that comparison, I also think that both Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are just hot right now. They're just hot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Rhea, fits the bill of what a lead face or a woman-led face of the company can look like. And Damian Priest looks like, right now, a champion without a title. You know,
Well, and that's
you
the thing
know,
is that you have that much draw without having a title. Like in like I've said before, is the fact that like my little thing underneath my picture says accessories over championship, right? Like the Drew McIntyre thing, there's more eyes on a bracelet than Cody as as Gunther as a champion, right? And now
right.
so it's stupid that there's more eyes on something smaller, you know, the little Amafala or whatever it's freaking called, like that's more fought after now than Cody Rhodes right now. No one cares. Like Cody comes out, runs the same promo, like it
The
has
same
literally like
promo
John
every
Cena.
freaking week.
It's like John Cena 2.0, dude.
You know,
He's because he's the face of the company, and he's this good guy, this nice guy,
and
and
I
I'm
th-
sorry,
and
but
I
Roman
think
Roman hit the nail on the head about John Cena. Like he just played the same character over and over again, and that's what we're getting from Cody.
that's the safe way to play Cody right now, because his whole championship has just been like, you know, everyone, I think a lot of people have this vibe of what now, Cody? And when you
Yeah,
watch him, it's just like, yeah, and it's safe, and you're just building this stability of character. So if and when there is a heel turn with Cody, that it will be so dramatic and it'll be taken as such a monumental shift that people will be more engaged. And I would not be surprised if that is in the WWE cookbook.
I mean
100%.
it's that's the thing is that like again making the John Cena comparison, right? Because John Cena was the good, he was the happy-go-lucky, and like and he was on such a good guy role that him being heel was never a possibility, right? Because he don't want you don't want to break character outside of, when you're outside of WWE, outside of the business, right? So you want to kind of keep that bravado. So the same thing with Cody, because Cody's a good person. Cody does charity work. Cody, you know, invest his time, helping people and everything else. So if you make him a heel, you really can't do what he does outside of the ring, unfortunately, because
Mhm.
that's why and the thing is okay, some characters in WWE, some wrestlers, they are what they are in the ring, and because they're not up on the top tier echelon of wrestlers on the roster right now, they can go back and forth character in real life. It was like the same thing like when Baron Corbin came to Grand Rapids, right? Like I was razzing him and he was having a good time about it, but he gets behind the camera and then he's a different person.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, and so it's the misfortune when you're on, you know, the top, let's call it the top 10%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of, you know, anybody in the business, right? It doesn't matter what brand you are, WWE, AEW, like when you're up on the upper echelon of talent, you have to maintain being a dick, right? Or being a good person.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I would agree, you know, but I think we're moving back towards a time where we people are more interested in the bad guys and villains and anti-heroes than the clear defined good guys. I mean, unless you're a good guy that is always had this, you know, I'm going to do things by the book. I'm going to be the best, you know, performer and role model that I can be in and out of the ring, et cetera, et cetera. You know, unless you're that type of character, people are, you know, people subconsciously, especially in the West, I think are they're attracted to that, well, I'm not so sure, that mysterious or that, well, they do a little bad to do a little good type of character, as opposed to maybe somewhere else is like, oh man, I know my good guys and I know my bad guys, and I'm gonna cheer for the good guys, I'm gonna boo the bad guys. And I think Cody falls into that line of like, hey, I'm a good guy, you know, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm a positive character and I want to be portrayed as such. When Cody Rhodes was not in the WWE or in AEW, um, that Cody Rhodes I didn't like, but he was interesting because he wasn't what we have now. And maybe it's been the progression and evolution of his character and him as an entertainer. So I'm not I'm not mad about it. I'm just disappointed in the thrill and excitement of his run has not been
well
as
it's
realized for me. Um
because
yeah,
it was
so
always hashtag we want Cody, and
right.
then now we got him as champion, and now we're just like
You get what you want. You asked for it and you got
you
it.
know, exactly, and, like, and
You
I
know?
think that's what kinda stinks is, like, "Damn you, Triple H, for listening to the fans!" You know, like, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like, "Okay, cool, we got it," and now we're like it's like voting for Biden.
Oh, come on. Why do we have to make it political?
Just for a hot second, just for a
No,
hot
let's
second.
not for a hot second. Let's just keep it
You
professional
wanted it, and
wrestling.
then now you got it, and you're like, "Eh."
No, I didn't want this. I didn't
Oh.
want those two words.
Joe.
You no.
I'm just okay, I'll do a different spinoff, right? But
All
it's
right.
just the fact that you wanted it so bad, and then we got it, and now it's just like it's
Huh.
just kinda
I
blah.
Well, you
Like,
know,
it
I and I get it. I totally get it.
like, is there a different recipe? Is there a different recipe? 'Cause
Like,
we're on the same one, and we've been making the same cake for, like, 6 months.
yeah, you know, I
Cody Rhodes' character has not changed at all. Actually,
and
I don't think he's giving away his belts.
No, he
well,
hasn't gave away one of his belts
So,
in a while.
but,
Since
like,
he hasn't gave away since he got the title.
right.
I just want a small smidgen of a different thing from Cody.
I
But
think
I digress.
yeah, I
We will
think
put a
we'll get that Cody the moment he is not champion. We'll get that Cody. That's what I'm gonna say.
I mean, I think that makes sense. It's kind of like I said before about WrestleMania, right? Like
Mhm.
Roman versus Rock did not need a title, right?
Right.
And I think Cody versus The Rock does not need a title. I think Roman versus The Rock, they don't need titles,
They,
right?
yeah, as to say they
You know,
don't.
if John Cena has a big match with anybody, it does not need to have a title.
Nope.
Just the sheer like build to the match has nothing to do with titles, right? because we have other workhorses that can carry those titles and have good matches week in and week out. There's some of these, like, like when The Rock comes back, whenever that may be, if he even does come back, maybe we just get the OG Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0, at Survivor Series War Games, and we'll call it a day. Maybe The Rock just never comes back. I mean, he's already sitting at the head of the table, pun intended, of TKO, so he really doesn't have to do anything. Because maybe The Rock is realizing that, okay, it's cool to have the power, but like it doesn't make sense for me to interject myself in storylines because everybody knows I have the power. You're basically doing Vinnie Mac 2.0, right? Where you have the
Yeah.
power so you do what you want. Like maybe The Rock is going to settle to more business and not get involved as much. I mean, I really think we don't need a Vinnie Mac 2.0 era, right?
No, we don't.
So maybe The Rock is best suited to conduct business and not be involved in stories because we already know that you're the boss, you're the whatever, the chair, much like Vinnie Mac was the chair. So, like, maybe The Rock realizes that now he has the power, but now he's like, don't want to do Vinnie Mac 2.0 and abuse my power and abuse myself in matches and everything else. He just needs to do what he does because he's good for business of as far as IQ, right? Like same thing with Triple H running things. Like these guys they did it at a high level. They were good at what they were doing, and now we just need their IQ points for the future. And maybe that's all we need from The Rock is we just need the knowledge. That's it. I don't need you to interject in storylines. Like we missed that when we didn't get Rock and Roman, and we moved past that, and so I feel like the Rock stuff should be put in the back, put in the back. It's done and over with. Let's enhance what we have now
Yeah.
Totally agree.
because
Yep.
we have a lot to enhance right now. We have a
Yeah.
lot. We have an abundance of talent. NXT is flooded. Like Obafemi, dude,
Oh my
legitimately
goodness, yes.
Brock Lesnar level talent.
Yeah. Yep. He.
You have, even the NXT that's come up to the main roster, like Ilya Dragunov, great
yeah.
talent.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's he's not a big guy, but he
Nope.
is talented.
Neither is
Braun
Carmelo.
Breaker,
And
I mean,
yeah.
he's holding the IC title, but he is very talented.
I think Braun Breaker, it comes naturally because of his pedigree. But it just comes naturally because of his pedigree, his history, his uncle and his father just, being absolute monsters.
Oh, definitely.
And I
Yeah,
think that's the thing is, but like,
They
that's
were a
good.
great tag team.
Oh my goodness.
I
And
think
singles.
I hope that they eventually maybe let's pipe dream this for about 2 seconds, but like, that they label him Braun Steiner, not Braun
Yeah,
Breaker.
I don't
won't
see that.
happen.
Yeah,
It
I
won't
don't see
happen.
that happen. Yeah, but at
You
the
know.
same time, I
If
do
it
get
does, that'd be cool.
But they're
Yeah.
referring to some of his moves as Steiner moves, though. So
You know
like,
what? It's just to play
and
into
so
his into his, into
the
his
whole story.
It's
yeah.
pretty much all up to Triple H if they want to go that route with his name.
I mean,
you know what? I think
they've
he's
already been pretty
satisfied with
lax.
that. Yeah, I think he's satisfied with being Breaker and having that,
definitely.
separation.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't be mad if he, just if there was like some switch or something or another. However, whatever, I mean, whatever you want to call yourself, I guess.
Me personally, I think he's trying to step away from his family's footsteps and try to do his own footsteps and try to make his own career and his own path.
Yep.
Yes, he
I
has
would
his
agree.
family, but still he wants to branch off away from that.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with that, Tim. Yep.
You guys agreed on something. Yay. You all agree to gang up on me about stuff, but I digress. I love you guys. You guys are my else. But, we'll put a pin in this. We'll definitely, again, hopefully this week we kind of hear more about Odyssey Jones, and the other plethora of storylines going on. So, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we have more information. So it's the Lockdown Podcast. Peace.